Yeah, hello together. This is Fun with RELUX.
Hello, everyone. Also from
And
my side.
yeah, this is Fabio. This is not Klaus today. Klaus is in the office today, but we have today a special guest. This is Fabio. Fabio is our head of sales at RELUX. And today it's a topic about SensCalc. And SensCalc is a tool which Fabio can demonstrate and show and explain better than me or Klaus. That's why Fabio is here. And we're happy to have him and to have this demo today of SensCalc. So, but first of all, let's talk what is SensCalc at all. And we have some slides prepared that you have also some, at least that you know how it's written by minimum. And yeah, and in the first slide, you see the name SensCalc comes from sensor and calculation. And here you see an banner with associations, companies, organizations which are involved in SensCalc. So it's not just an RELUX tool for himself. So not just RELUX, it's also in combination created with SLG. SLG is a group of lighting specialists out of Switzerland, community-based. METAS is an organization also from half government or government organization dealing with weather and fundamentals of physics, and quite interesting company, METAS, and also sensNorm, an association-like organization dealing with sensors in general, measurements, but also of course, everything which is down to standardization, and also Energie Schweiz. This is a governmental organization from the government, also supporting this tool. And we together creating this tool in order to try to bring more sensors into the market in terms of energy saving, in terms of the usage of sensors. And this tool, SensCalc, should help to bring sensors more into existing projects. Yeah, and what is SensCalc in general, Fabio?
So, thank you already for the introduction. So the idea was, as Robert already mentioned, that for the electrician, they should have a tool that is easy to use, where they can rely also on the data they get when they're doing the planning, and that it's also free, and consider just peer sensor. So this tool is just considering peer sensor. Like I said, they were all tested at METAS. That's why METAS is also one of the partner or supporter of this project. So they have been all tested at the laboratories, like we see here on the left-hand side down the picture. So, and then obviously the idea is, by having this tool, to explain also to the customer a little bit better what the savings are, and to push it further, how to save more energy and obviously also cost in the end.
Yeah, so it's an online application. You can use this in a browser-based application, and simple browser applications, so not as heavy as RELUX Desktop, for example. And it's about peer sensors, but just measured sensors. So this is possible to measure sensors. It's not so common as a Luminas. Everybody is knowing that Luminas you can measure it in terms to get this photometrics, this LDC curves. It's also possible for sensors in a similar way. It's possible to measure different angles of the sensor positioning, and you can get a digital form of the detection area. And this could be measured in laboratories like at METAS. And this data is just going into this tool. So it's just working with measured data. And also and specialty of the tool is that you can calculate the energy saving by using a sensor in general. That is also important, that you know what you can save with a sensor.
Yeah. Maybe you can just add also that the measuring, so the file that is basically generated out of this measuring, it's not only used for the SensCalc, but we use it as well for the RELUX desktop or Revit application. So yes. Mainly the idea is that with this file, you can add it then to a GLDF, and then you can also, by being a RELUX member, in the case of RELUX desktop and Revit for the add-on, you can then use these products. In the case now of SensCalc, this is a little bit the other situation. there's no membership involved. So that's why I think it's even more interesting.
Yeah.
So should we jump into the presentation of the tool itself? So we can now close
and here we are. You can see a browser.
Yes, exactly. So obviously you can then register as a new user. You might see here login with RELUX.com. This is at the moment not working yet, but the idea is because we are right now switching to a new platform in terms of the registration of users. So for now, if you want to test it, you will have to register. It's very simple. It's just your name, your surname, and your email address, and that's it already. So I will now so let's jump in here, and I will in the first step just show a little bit of how you can use it. So we have I was right here, so the settings, so I've put it here now on English. Right now the tool is in 3 different languages, German, French, and English. As a currency, we have Swiss franc. The project is mainly for Switzerland, but we are also evaluating maybe some other countries, and so also other currencies could be added or will be added. Then you can save what your average energy costs are, what's the equivalent for the CO2 emissions, and then also some additional stuff like reflection values of the rooms. Then I set as a standard Switzerland, obviously, as a country, and I could also, if I'm just using always the same room type, the room profile, I could set it as well here. So, and then as well, I have my personal information that I can put in, so for the printouts at the later stage. So if we now go here and start with the new project. This was something I was showing this morning, but let's start just with the new project. So I can add here, obviously, a title, webinar EN. I could fill out all the other information. What I for sure need here are the energy costs, but they are now by default in there. I could add also the name of the architect or the electro planner or the lighting planner. And I can jump now here to generate a first room. Room 1.
Supports multiple rooms?
Yes, exactly. We have here different room shapes that we can basically use. I can put in here the different measurements, but I can also then modify them exactly afterwards. So I just keep it like this at 2.4 height. I say here it's reception.
These profiles are used for energy evaluation.
Yeah. Exactly. Because in the backend, we are referring to the SIA here from Switzerland, which is a norm that gives some information about the usage of the rooms, how much energy usually goes into these rooms, so we can retrieve this information as a support when planning with this tool. Here, installation costs, I'm going to just put here for now 200 Swiss francs, and I can generate now the room itself. So I got here the 2D view. I can have here the 3D view here. I can add as well some different components, so window, doors, openings, and here is a glass facade. I don't know why it's not showing right now, but here I can add obviously a door. You can then see also if I just put also one here. So
it's possible to flip the doors,
exactly,
to manipulate with the mouse the doors.
So I can also obviously change here the room geometries. It's very simple. I could also just type in here some stuff like 4 meters, and it's gonna use it. So it's very easy to use. this might be also something interesting. You have here this menu point here where I can go into some material information. So here I could set just the floor. So obviously for the sensors it's not that important, but maybe for future application it might be very interesting.
Nice visualization options.
Exactly. So this is just a very fast and short overview about the how you can basically modify the generated room. Then if we jump into the sensors, we have here right now there are a bit more than 20 sensors. All these sensors have been measured at metas. So they either correspond to the sensNorm or to the IEC norm. I can then go and obviously filter by brands or by mounting places. I have even additional filters that I can set. So what is the height that it should detect? Yeah. So some very technical information that I can filter by sensor. But let's now start to put a sensor in here. So this was now a manual placement of the sensor. I can, if I jump to or switch to the 3D view, I can also modify where I place it. I can move it around how I want. So, and I see in real time basically how it moves.
Yeah, and you see also the detection areas. This is quite interesting.
Exactly. You have down here the different detection areas. So we have the presence detection area, the radial, the tangential. This has to do on how so the presence is obviously, if I'm working on a desk, it's going to detect even the smallest movements. Then I have the radial, and tangential is when I walk across the detection area or to direction of the sensor. So, and I can, if I want just to switch off for better clarity, I can switch them as well off. Staying here in terms of the selection of the products, what we did here is we can see now here we have 18 different variants of this product. I get here the product number, so the name, the gating number, and also in this case the Swiss franc price. I could either go through the list if I want, or I could then start to basically select the different filters that I want to get to the correct then product I want to basically use in my project.
So there are variations in interfacing, colors, and so on, but it's still the same product.
Exactly.
But also the price can also vary it.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, depending then on the type of like here interfaces. If they have some price changes, then it's going to also change the price. I have then as well some specification of the product itself. I can also check then the picture, the cut drawing. I get also some additional assets, so the data sheet, the assembly instruction, or then just the catalog, the magazine site, and also the in case I have any question, I can then also contact the manufacturer of these sensors.
Okay. And so, this data is how the data comes into the tool? So
the data comes into the tool via a GLDF. So we created or we used GLDF files to then generate these products or the database basically. Because we had some members, they weren't able to generate GLDFs yet. They used an Excel file, and we were then able to basically generate the GLDF out of it to put in then the product into here.
So also the variants are in the GLDF, and I could use the GLDF one-to-one also in RELUX Desktop and in Revit and so on?
Yes, not everything is already replicable because some filters that we use here are even going further than what we today are able basically to choose in RELUX Desktop. But the aim is just going forward that we use these capabilities as well for other stuff, because in the end what I need is a final order number, so I can place my my order. Now, if this was the manual placement, now comes the fun stuff. So when I use then automatic placement, as you can see, it's quite a fast interaction. I can basically jump. Oh, this was again the one that is not working correctly yet. As you can see, I can just basically jump from one sensor to the other, and I get a good view of which sensor can be basically used.
And how many of them?
And how many of them. I can obviously then always just go in there and move them if I think, oh, I would rather do something else, or maybe I know there is maybe, I don't know, a desk somewhere in some instances, then I would rather move it in a slightly different direction, and that's basically fine as well. So what I wanted to show as well here is we have here like a cylinder that can be placed also in the room. If I just copy it, so
column.
Yes, exactly, gives a little bit a better view of what I mean. So obviously, by having such a column, it blocks the detection of the sensor itself, and this is replicated here. So you see that back here from this sensor, it can't detect everything. So even this works very easily if you just move around, and this is then the refresh button. I can also simulate this kind of information. We have also some cubes. This is then, but more to maybe simulate desks or something like that, or some other furnitures that are in a room. I can arrange them then this way, and obviously also in this case I have the detection that can't go through. So if we move now further, we have here the first overview. I can generate here my energy savings. So what I get here is what is the consumption without sensors, and what is the consumption or the saving. No, it's the consumption in this case. What is the consumption if I use now sensors? I get also here after what time do I have my return on investment here, how high are the savings. But for this case here, we can now jump into the management summary that gives us now an overview over the whole project. I forgot to mention, you can obviously add several rooms to the same project. So it's not that you have always just one room per project, but you can add several rooms. Today, as for now, it's not you're not able to put the rooms one to each other. Okay, so it's just a single. Yes, exactly. So it's just a single room. But I get in here the management summary. Here in this section here, I see for the it's like the total for the project. So the area, the energy consumption, my energy savings, and also the CO2 savings. These are all parameters that, as I mentioned before, come from the SIEA
Switzerland
standards that are then obviously used then to run the calculation. So in this case here, it says, okay, I can save up to 134 Swiss francs per year. The payback is after 3.7 years. The sensor costs would be 299.85. Installation cost, I set it to 200 with a total of almost 500 Swiss francs. That means in 3.7 years, you get the payback. Then you get the room breakouts. We have right now just one room, so it's going to be just one room here, but you see here where the sensor have been positioned. So also maybe you might remember I said 200. Now I'm gonna raise it to 300 because I see I'm gonna use 3 sensors in this case, and now it went up from 3.7 years to 4.5 years in terms of payback. Exactly. So and then in the end, have here now the selected sensor. This is our RELUX demo sensors.
200 francs.
At 100 Swiss francs each by 3, you get almost the 300. If I gonna even make it cheaper, you see that the savings are again now back to 3.7 years.
So a couple of good arguments to sell the sensor or to bring the sensor into use.
Exactly. Because in the end, I have maybe to convince the buyer, the customer, that it makes sense to also use sensors in terms of savings, and then also in terms of CO2 limitation or savings that I can reach. Then obviously I can then also get the printout, which is basically one-to-one what we saw before, and I can show it then to the customer itself. What I want to add here before I just gonna show a different room is when I generate here the project, I have the possibility to save the project and share it with someone else. So this would be this download JSON file. I could send it over to a customer or to a friend, whatever, and he or she could then upload it again to get the same information of this project. Also something that we are still finalizing is that you will be able to download the whole project also as a record file, so that you can use it as well in RELUX if you want, in RELUX desktop if you want to use it over there.
So you can create easily rooms here and just bring the rooms into desktop and go on in desktop.
Yes, if you are happy just with the single ones, then it's obviously then that would also work.
Couple of single ones.
A couple of single ones, obviously. So
good.
I wanted just maybe to show here also in this case. So I'm gonna just slightly modify the rooms and add some doors in it. So here and then also over here. And then this door here. So, okay. Now, if we jump again to the sensors list, I will use this time door sensors. And as you can see, also in this case here, you have the door and it's placed right beside the door. So also for this kind of, let's say, type of project, it's going to work pretty good and in a very simple way.
Good. Yeah. It's a quite realistic use case to use door sensors. We also have here in the offices this door kind of sensors, easy to replace by you put out the existing switch and put in this door sensors, and then you have the most of the room covered. Especially if you have smaller rooms, it's quite enough to have this kind of devices.
Yeah, and that's basically it. I think maybe we can add something also about the RELUX desktop, and because here we have some additional functionalities that are today missing in RELUX desktop.
This is more powerful today as in RELUX desktop. In RELUX desktop, of course, you can use also sensors, and you can do your sensor planning with printouts and positioning, and also with the detection areas in visualization. Also in Revit, by the way, it's also the same. You can use in Revit with our RELUX CAD for Revit add-on. You can use the same sensor data from GLDF or from the processors from RELUX desktop in sensors and use it. And but this nice functionality to have is it automized, to have this automized placing of sensors according to the doors. By the way, also the doors were recognized by placing a ceiling based sensor by detection the room front. So it's if you do sensor planning, I know it's quite seldom to have a really professional sensor designer, but if you are blending sensors, you also to keep in mind that you have the doors covered within detection areas. Of course, you enter the room by the door, and then you need to have a sensor detecting this. And this is also covered in this automized tool, and we will put this automized tool also in RELUX desktop. We will not get this by this year, but early next year we will have this functionality, this easy looks for sensors also reflected in Windows Desktop, that you can hit a button and then you get your room covered by the sensors automatically. And also in Revit, we will also implement this feature because this is really nice. It's working and it's not so far away from the other applications to bring this in. So this is a nice tooling also for all other applications we have in the company.
Yeah, I think what you just mentioned about the doors as well, we can see it also here that it's placed to make sure that the door is covered correctly, so that if someone walks through the door, the sensor will detect then also the person walking in.
So we have the sensor planning knowledge included. Kind of, it's not so easy to acquire, but we have interviewed sensor designers from sensor companies and asked them how to place a sensor in real life, and this knowledge is into the tool. And also not just the sensor placement is a nice feature. It's also the whole setting, the whole user interface, the whole 3D CAD room approach. We have here an engine inside RELUX. And we're also thinking about what to do or what is possible to do with this kind of powerful user interface in lighting design. So you can imagine this is also a powerful tool setting engine for lighting design. So it's also possible to put in luminaires, to have the same logic with GLDF and luminaires, to place luminaires, to calculate lighting, and also to display the lighting results with false colors, isolux lines, and all the other stuff directly in the browser. It's fast enough, it's powerful enough, and it's really convenient to create rooms and do, let's say, basic fundamentals like placement, corrections of placement, and also informations about the settings. So this is an interesting start with this tool to potentially other tools. So one of the first things we're discussing are fast calculation stuff, fast calculators, something like the good old OnCalc, but in a new shape. And yeah, we discussed it internally, what to do next with it. But there will be a lot of interesting stuff coming on with this.
Yeah. Maybe just to finish my my presentation, and I guess one question is going to be, okay, when I use it, is it paid or is it does it have any costs? So no, there are no costs involved. So the use is going to be free for the user, as well for the companies that want to share their sensors. So for these companies, obviously, they have to make sure that the sensor are measured. So they have to be measured by sensNorm or ISE norm, via Metas or some other laboratories. This is one point. And then they have to be able to either generate a GLDF, a complete GLDF, or they can obviously then use an Excel file we can provide them. And then there might be some costs from our side in terms of putting all then the data together, uploading it to the tool here, but it's not like we have it with RELUX desktop. It's not that it's a membership that is involved. So anyone that has measured sensors could basically be added to the list here. The last point, so we are on the let's say the final steps to release the product. The idea is to be released by end of November, so about a bit more than a week. Exactly, a bit more than a week. And we will be obviously communicating via our channels, and because it's going to be a dedicated website for this tool. Obviously, we're going to have communication on our website, but it has then an own dedicated website. It's senscalc.com or .ch, senscalc.ch, and then anyone that want to play around, use it, try it, you're free basically to go and check it out on yourself.
Okay, so relux.com. If you get lost, just check out relux.com. You will have also the link and the tooling also presented there. And yeah, so it's fantastic news. So this tool is for free. once again, so everybody can use it for free. Feel free to use it and to have your experience with it, and make good sensor designs with it. And for everybody who is providing sensors as manufacturers, this is also easy to come into it. So there's no RELUX membership needed to bring your sensors into it. But of course, we need some kind of data quality to ensure the quality of the tool by having a picture and geometry and measurement of the detection area, variance, prices, and so on. So the data quality is high on this, but also this enables a really nice workflow and a lot of use cases on the application side, on the installers or on the user of this. So yeah, good point is also maybe the user. The user is maybe not once the lighting designer. Also, the lighting designer has a lot of fun with it, of course, but it's also the installer. So the guy who is bringing sensors into an actually room by convincing the owner of the facility to invest into sensors. And this tool brings arguments to do this, to save energy, to save CO2, and to use sensors. So this is then lobbying for sensors, and this you can check and you can calculate. Also, if you own values, it makes sense. And the Switzerland standard behind is also not so far away from other European standards. It's just another kind of profiles, another kind of CO2 equivalent, which you can set and so on. So this is quite realistic in the end. Good. Then we can go into the questions. So if you have questions to Fabio or to me, then now is the time to hit the questions into the form of the GoToMeeting. At the moment, we have not a question.
I hope I did a good job explaining it. So
I guess so. I guess it's understood what the tool is doing. And yeah, of course, you can check it out for yourself. There's a question. Hi, I managed a plugin for RELUX. We have in production this Luminar. There's a specific Luminar. It is a bollard plus sensor. How can I add the sensor information in Onlinetool or it's only via GLF possible? In Onlinetool, it's not possible to bring in sensors. You need a GLDF as an envelope, as a container for it, or the good old Wolf format is also possible. If you have knowledge to create a RAW file, you can use this, but GLDF is the more modern, the more convenient way to communicate this.
I mean, so in the case, okay, obviously the first thing we would need is so the detection area has to be digitalized. So so this would be the first step, and then based on that, you have to basically create the container around it. And now in your case, in the Elum.dat tool, I think he's meaning the ElumDB tool, so to add basically this information in addition to the light luminaire information. That is possible. We can do that. But let's have a discussion separately for that one. But this is possible to combine. This is something that it's already today possible to combine the luminaire together with a sensor in RELUX. So that's possible.
Good. Then let's check if we have more questions. There's another one. When importing into Revit, will the sensor be physical imported or only the location where it will be mounted? There will be a physical integration. So there is an object in Revit with the sensor by just drag and drop the sensor GLDF into Revit, into the plug-in Luminar section. You can drag and drop into this. Also Onlinetool files, IES files, everything, and also GLDF and Wolfs. And within sensor, you get a physical object with the geometry inside Revit, with the detection area, and with the ReluxCAD for Revit ribbon element, you can switch on and switch off if you want to see the detection area or not. The tricky thing is the object sensor is not an object from Revit. In Revit, there is no sensor available as a native object. So the object sensor comes with the RELUX plugin. And it's not recognized on all the exports, for example. So this is a bit of tricky. You have a generic object which is a sensor, but there is not yet an Revit native object for this. Next question: can the SensCalc software import CAD or IFC files? At the moment, not. No pictures in the background, no CAD, no IFC. It's technical possible, but today it's not implemented. So it's imaginable to put in a CAD draft into this by an upload. IFC is a bit complicated, but also possible in the end by a bit of a conversion in between. Yeah, so it's technically possible to implement it. Yeah, keep filling our wish list with it. Depends on how many people wants to have it and what is the benefit for everybody. Then of course it is possible, but so, it's not in yet.
So maybe I mean the idea of this tool, of this SensCalc tool, is obviously for the not for the user that uses a lot RELUX desktop. So
yeah, or
if
CAD
you,
and BIM tools.
Exactly, yeah. If you go more into let's say complex stuff or bigger stuff, then this was never in the beginning the idea of SensCalc to do exactly this kind of things. It's rather really very easy. I can open up my laptop or my iPad. I can generate a room, and then I can place the sensors and then show it to the customer. Yeah. That's it. So it's very straightforward, easy application. But yeah, obviously, to have it at a certain point with some other tools might be very interesting.
I guess this question comes up again if we're talking about luminaire and lighting calculations in some use case. Then it should be more useful to have it. Or can we create a SensCalc software with different shapes, rooms, and like it's possible to have polygonal rooms. Of course, technically, I'm not sure if it's SensCalc. It's just this.
We haven't considered yet because of then obviously the automatic placement. This makes it way more complex.
Yeah.
And we said right now, by just having, let's say, these, I think were eight different shapes, okay, you get already quite a lot out of it. But the idea of this tool or this, let's say, application in general, it would be possible also going forward to generate polygonal rooms.
So you can touch right now just the walls, but not the room corners.
Exactly.
Technical inside the engine is capable to move also the room corners and to add corners and delete corners like in desktop. But yes, it's in question on how far it should be gone. So if we connect CAD and so on, then we should also allow this. Interesting, but also this is it's sharp between. Yeah, it's too complicated for the user group we have in mind, or too lightweight for more professional users. This is always the case for online tools. Okay, this was the question.
Yeah, this we are
we are done. Okay, yeah. Then we have covered all your questions. We are also good in time. So thank you very much for having this. And yeah, so it's the last thing I have to do is to tell you the next episode. This was, by the way, episode number 40, so also in round number. And the next episode, 41, is on the 12th of December. And this is our Christmas Q&A session. So Klaus and me will answer your questions. It's also possible to bring us questions in advance. Just use support@relux.com. Send us by support your questions you have to this session. And yeah, we will cover everything which is before the session, but also in the session. Of course, you can put in your questions, and then we just having an Q&A session with you. And if you have no questions, we will have, of course, some discussion. Klaus and me have so much to discuss, and we are happy to share this with you. Okay, then we are done for today. Thanks for your attention, and yeah, see you in 1 month.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.